welcome back to the Checkpoint Reach podcast. I'm your host Luke Eldon, and I'm joined by my fellow gamers and friends Sud
Hi there, Luke.
and Perks.
How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
No, not bad, yeah. It's a nice sunny day today, isn't it? And where we live, so
Really
that's
is.
always good.
The weather is finally
It's nice.
taking a
It's
nice
picking up.
turn. It is.
It's still
Yeah.
cold inside. Like, looks
Yeah,
can be
it's not-
deceiving. It
it's
looks
not warm,
nice, but in reality, nah, not really.
Yeah,
And
the sun.
You're
The sun's
enjoying it,
important.
Perks, because you're not a sun man. So
Not a
Nah,
sun.
I'm not a sun man.
no, you're
He's a
not.
rain
God
man.
didn't make me that
He's the
way.
rain man. Rain man Perks.
Yes. Unfortunately, I will say we're not joined by Matty this week, but as they do say, the show must go on, and I'm sure he'll be listening. So
Too
We'll
busy
have
in the pub.
yeah, big game for him. United fan. So come on, Barcelona. As you can tell, I'm not a United fan. Anyway, before we get started, remember to subscribe to our channel for more gaming content each week and give this video a like, as it'll help the channel to grow. So, our first topic of the day is Randy Pitchford responds to Borderlands review bombers. Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford has offered his take on the flood of negative Steam user reviews being posted on Borderlands games, which occurred in the wake of Borderlands 3 being announced as an Epic Games Store exclusive. In response to Gearbox developer Scott Velasquez on Twitter, Randy Pitchford said, "Ironically, this misuse is possible. That Steam has no interest in correcting this misuse makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision and makes me want to reconsider Gearbox publishing current posture on the platform. The review bombing campaign is targeting Borderlands 1, 2 and the pre-sequel reviewers voicing their displeasure over 2K's decision." What are our thoughts on this? I mean, this seems to be a current trend, doesn't it?
Yeah, a bit strange, bit of a strange response, I think, from Randy Pitchford to me. I think
Randy Pitchford,
he's
as we know him.
yeah, as Matty likes to call him. But it's a bit of a strange response. He's just alienating fans. It's silly, really. I don't know why you'd want to do this. Steam's user base, as we all know, is dwarfs the user base of other similar services like the Epic Games Store. So, these comments saying about how he's so glad. It makes him. What did he say? It makes him more glad that the 2K decided.
Yeah, he said it makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision.
Kind of happy that they went with Epic, but I just think that's a bit of a silly comment. Why would you say that? You just. I don't get it. I really don't understand them comments at all. I mean, I understand that they're probably not happy, of course, with their reviews, the review bombing, which no one would be happy with that. But what did they expect? Did they think people were just going to be like, yeah, all right, whatever, we don't care? Like, no, people are going to be annoyed and angry. Like this, you get backlash for decisions like this. Unfortunately, this is the industry we work in. If you make an unpopular decision, you're going to get backlash. It's just like any other field in life. So I don't quite understand what he would have expected, to be honest.
Well, we're not really PC gamers, are we? But
No, we're not.
from what we can tell from the news that we keep seeing each week, basically PC gamers are very unhappy with the Epic Games Store exclusivity deals. Or exclusive
Yeah, they
deals,
don't seem
so
happy.
It's just
That's for
adds to
sure.
it. And it's a current trend with people
See,
review bombing as a result.
I don't actually mind, though. I don't mind the fact that 2K have decided to go with this deal. That's up to them. If they think it makes financial sense, then you go with that. What annoys me is when you get like Randy Pitchford coming out and saying, well, it's a disgrace that our scores are being bombed and stuff like this. It's like, what do you expect? Like, what did you expect? Like, this is what you have to expect. You have to expect a bit of rough with the smooth, don't you? It's not going to be all swimmingly perfect when you make a decision like this. They should have just ignored it.
They're always going to receive
to me, they should have just
backlash.
ignored it. Why not just ignore it? Just ignore it, and then nothing gets said. Then you've not, because all people are going to do now is attack Randy Pitchford and attack. They're probably going to make it even worse.
Doesn't he have a tendency to do this, though?
Yeah, he is renowned for being a bit outspoken and things like that with things
Yeah.
like this, but it's just not helping at all for me.
It's no surprise, though, really, that he's followed on. I mean, last week he came under a lot of criticism, and the week before, really, when it was announced that Borderlands 3 was going to be an Epic Store exclusive for a short period of time anyway. Well, relatively short period of time. He's he didn't speak out in abject of that. He was quite supportive of it, and straight away people were responding to the YouTube channel and the stream live chat saying, so there's no opposition to this then. He's actually quite okay with it. And the consensus was that, yeah, that's pretty much it. He's happy for it to go in that direction. So to see him follow up what happened at the time of that deal's announcement with this, it's no real surprise. I think I'd probably do the same if I was in his position. I mean, he's made his bed and now he's going to sort of lay in it. So I don't really have an issue with it.
Would you antagonize them though by saying this makes you happy that you went with that 2K went with Epic Games?
I guess he's just not taking it lying down, and he's showing a bit of fight. And to be honest, I don't mind that. It's a bit of controversy for us, and I'm okay with it. I much prefer a response like this than a generic sort of PR happy response that just ticks all the boxes. I'm quite okay when people are outspoken in this fashion.
What I would argue against that is, how does that help 2K and how does that help Borderlands, his comments?
I mean, the reviews are going to get pulled anyway, so...
No, but I just mean in general, it doesn't help the game, does it? Him coming out and saying it just antagonises more fans that might go, well, I'm not buying the game now. Like, I don't understand.
No, I don't think anyone's actually going to do that. It's the
no,
same
they might
as...
not, but it's not good, is it? It's not a good look. It's not a good look for 2K, and it's not a good look for him. So, or the game, frankly.
I really disagree. Like, I don't think this is a big deal. Like, it's just a guy voicing his opinion. It's not like he speaks for the entire companies or, 2K or Epic or Steam. He's just a guy. Like, he can have an opinion.
Yeah, but he is the CEO of Gearbox,
exactly.
so he is the voice of that company.
So.
Yeah, but he doesn't speak. What I'm saying is he doesn't speak for like every single person that works there. He doesn't speak for everybody that runs platforms like Steam and the Epic Store. So
no, but people do judge these figureheads.
No one's going to boycott the game because Randy Pitchford's outspoken.
No, but they'll boycott the game because maybe of this deal, but which is a big thing. And I've said before, I don't have a problem with 2K going with the Epic if that's what they think. But then they can't moan if their sales are lower because of all this. They can't have any complaints because they've made that decision. Then
the initial sales may be lower because people will refuse to go over in the first sort of 6 months, and then obviously when it does release on other clients, then people will pick it up then. But I think that the long term, what we would perceive to be a successful game, it's still going to be that way. I really don't think it's going to negatively affect things in any way, shape, or form. More people may well hate on Randy Pitchford in particular and say that 2K are a disgrace and all that kind of thing. But generally speaking, these things are just words. We've seen it for time and time again. People say the same thing about EA and FIFA. It gets review bombed every single year. You look at the Xbox store, people say they'd rather have cancer than pay for this game. People do the same thing all the time, and then sure enough, the game launches, they buy it. So
yeah, that does happen more often than not.
No big deal. And yeah, I just like it. It's different. It's not, like I said, a generic PR happy response. And me as a gamer, as a consumer, I'm even okay with that. Maybe I'd feel differently if I was a PC main, but
that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? Personally, I don't think any of us actually really care because it's like
no, it doesn't affect us.
It doesn't affect us because we're going to buy the game if we get it on Xbox. So this whole deal with the Epic Store and people getting mad, it doesn't actually affect us. But I can understand from someone that plays Steam a lot and has, invested tons of money, thousands of pounds some people have invested into this store, and they've got all their friends there and things like that. I can understand why some of them would get annoyed with this sort of deal happening. And if they don't want to buy the game on the Epic Store, that's their choice, I suppose, isn't it? But
see, I'm somewhere in between with it all. Like, I can see the business sense.
Yeah,
and I can obviously see the consumer sense and the gamers themselves. That's why I'm on the fence. It's the same with the comments. Like, I know you say one guy's voice doesn't speak for the whole company, but at the end of the day, he represents the company. He's a CEO, and people will judge the company on his words. So, I mean, I don't mind his comments really, but sometimes I think, is it worth antagonizing?
Look, I'm not saying he can't make these. Of course he can. He can say what he wants, really, within reason. I mean, I don't actually... It's not really the comments. It's more per se him moaning about the backlash. It's like as if he's saying, like, this shouldn't be allowed or something, which is like, well, that's no. If people want to,
You had to expect the backlash.
Yeah, well, what did you expect? You can't expect people to just be like, yeah, but okay, we accept it. Like, that's what annoys me most of all the comments, I think.
Well, his biggest problem wasn't with people; it was with Steam as a client, that they have the review system that obviously the Epic Store doesn't have, controversially. But his point is pretty much that it's the fact that people can just go on it and misuse it in the way that they are doing, because let's be very fair here, like it's not being used properly. People are just tanking the reviews because they don't agree with 2K's strategy of going with Epic. So it's in that sense that makes sense.
On the review side of it, what I think they could do better, and this isn't just on Steam, I think this is on Xbox and PlayStation, because I think you actually alluded to it a little bit yourself, Perks, where you say, people review bomb FIFA and stuff like that on maybe the Xbox store, and it's like, I do think a lot of the time I personally think you should only be able to review a game if you have the game. There should be some system where you can only review it if, the Xbox recognizes you've played it. Because I think a lot of the time people don't even play the game and say like, oh, it's rubbish, 1 out of 5. And it's like, yeah, but you haven't even played it.
Just to cut in there, that is actually the case now on the Xbox Store, the Microsoft
Have
Store.
they changed it now on the Xbox Store? You do have to
can't speak for Steam because I don't use it anywhere near enough, so I don't know if that's a thing. But from a Microsoft perspective, it does actually give you a message now, a prompt that says you can only comment or review this game if you own it, something like that.
See, that's good. And I think that's something, like I said, I'm not 100%. If Steam doesn't have it, I think it should have it. I think all platforms should have that because, it's the same with Metacritic, isn't it? You can't, there's nothing you can do about the Metacritic one. You see things like FIFA and it's like a user score of 1.8 and it's like, well, clearly the game is not a 1.8 out of 10, is it? This is silly. Yeah, well, some people would argue maybe, but, realistically, and it's like the latest Call of Duty gets like a 2.5 every year and it's like, it's silly, really, isn't it?
To be honest, though, this happens across different industries as well.
It does.
Just look at the controversy, with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, true. That is true. And I think is The Last Jedi as well. It's got a really low user score.
Last Jedi.
To be fair, I actually think that deserves it.
I
agree.
That's not a review bomb. That's a film bomb.
I would give it like a 2 out of 10, to be honest, personally. But this does happen, like you said, Luke, across the board. And I just don't think it's something you're ever going to properly solve, is it? You're never going to get people to stop moaning or stop, being annoyed at things. So.
Yeah, like his issue again, it's with Steam as a client for allowing people to do this. So unfortunately, he's going to antagonize people by criticizing Steam. He's not criticizing people, but
the argument the other way would be censorship, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. See, this is the problem.
People, so that's why it's getting tricky.
This is a fine balance, isn't it? This again is an issue across in life now, isn't it? Really, not just in video games. The whole censorship debate and. You've got to try and find a balance, but it's really hard sometimes.
I think this is a case where it's extremely hard as well.
Yeah.
I just think the funny thing is, and people may disagree with me on this, but I'd be quite confident and bet my bottom dollar on this, if you like, is that the people who are actually review bombing the Borderlands games on Steam right now are the same people that are actually going to end up buying Borderlands 3 on day one.
That's because they're big fans of the game, though, isn't it? Like a lot of people, they get mad. The only reason they get mad, if you didn't care about the game, you wouldn't even review bomb because it's like, who cares? I don't care about the game anyway. It's only people that are like, oh, I'm a massive fan, but I'm so angry at this decision. And then they go, oh, I'm not buying the game, and then they go, oh, it looks good though, so I'll buy it. Actually, like a month later,
I guess it's buy the game. I guess it's a little bit of a catch-22 though. Like these guys or people could be unhappy. Borderlands, they can't get it because now it's on Epic Games, it's exclusive, but they stay quiet, they don't say anything, and then it happens. And then people say, well, why didn't you kick up a fuss?
True.
So then they kick up a fuss this way, and people are like, well, don't do it that way. But which way are they meant to do it? They got his attention.
Exactly. So it did work, didn't it, technically? And it won't just be him, they'll have got 2K's attention with it as well. It's not just
and the client's attention as well. Definitely. I mean, if they perform this in the way of everybody coming at Pitchford with pitchforks on Twitter, then he could have just ignored them all. So no biggie.
Unfortunately, he does have a name as well that resembles a pitchfork. So it's just the ultimate person to get mad at, isn't he? Really?
Exactly. But look, they've done it in a way that can be recognised because it's actually going to affect directly what people see and how the game's represented. Even though that's completely false, it's there and it can't be hidden, whereas you can just block people on social media. So
true.
I understand why people are doing it. I just, like I said, that they're going to be the same people who buy Borderlands 3 on day one, even if they're on the Epic Store doing so. and I'm quite confident about that.
Well, I was actually going to ask, do you think this will affect any long-term sales of this game?
Potentially.
No,
On the PC potentially, I think. Not on,
I
obviously on
just
console. It
no,
doesn't
man.
affect
I
anything.
don't see it.
Yeah,
Long-term sales, like possibly short
I think it's
term,
possible.
possibly day one, possibly in the first week or month when people are trying to pretend that they're stubborn and they're not going to do it, and then they'll do it anyway. Long term, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I
But
probably should have
unfortunately,
said short
yeah.
term rather than long term.
Yeah,
Well, unfortunately, puts a lot of sales, as we all know, are done. A lot of the sales of the game are in the first month or so. So I think that's the problem they're going to have in terms of, they might think the same as you. Oh, they'll get it eventually. But most of the sales are in the first month. So if they have low sales on PC in the first month, that's going to be hard to recover. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to recover. And like we said, this might have all blown over by September 13th anyway. People by then might have forgot about all this and buy the game anyway. And we don't know what other. This isn't going to be the only story we hear in the next few months about Epic Games Store versus Steam, is it? So there's going to be other things that probably overshadow
been loads
this game.
of late.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So
It's going to keep rolling with other games as well. This is obviously just a real prominent one, but I think, look, even if people were way more stubborn than I give them credit for, and they did hold out in the short term, when the game launches on Steam, they're going to buy it then. So they're just going to have another influx of sales down the line, and they're going to be really happy about that, even if the initial ones don't do so great because of it. So in the end, it kind of ends the same way.
And to be fair as well, I think overall with Borderlands 3, I do think the game's going to sell pretty well. You can kind of tell sometimes with the interest. There's been a lot of interest with this game since the trailers come out and stuff, and I don't think they're going to struggle anyway to sell on console or PC, really.
Yeah, I think it will sell pretty well as well. I don't think it will be in much danger of that. Anyway, moving on to topic number 2, which is Dragon Age 4 is reportedly influenced by a cancelled Dragon Age project. The upcoming 4th entry into BioWare's Dragon Age series was reportedly rebooted in 2017 and is allegedly influenced by a cancelled Dragon Age project the studio had been working on since 2015. Kotaku reports that the current version of Dragon Age 4 began development under the codename Morrison, while the cancelled project was known by the codename Joplin. Morrison is reportedly being made on Anthem's tools and codebase and is planned to have a live service component. Some BioWare developers allegedly said it's possible a Dragon Age game built on Anthem's codebase could have an offline structure. However, it appears the game will likely be an online only, but could largely still be experienced by a single player. What are our thoughts on this? I mean,
well, I just that. Yeah, I would. I know you sigh there a little bit, Luke, but I would just say that part where they say about online only, I don't think that means it's going to be some sort of like online only Dragon Age. I think what it means is that you'll have to be online to play it. But it'll be a single player game. I'm pretty confident about that. We've seen this in the past with games where on the box it says requires internet, but then there's actually just a single player game in there. It's just that you have to be connected to their servers, basically, to play the game, which isn't going to be a problem for most people nowadays. I think 99% of everyone plays their games online, don't they? On Xbox Live, PSN,
or at least connected
PC.
to
a connected to something. So I think that's one worry I wouldn't be worried about that because I'm pretty confident about that. Now the game probably will have some sort of. I wouldn't be surprised if they shoehorn in some sort of multiplayer component because they did it with Inquisition. I don't think I had much success, but we'll see how that goes.
Did you guys play that? I didn't.
I didn't. No. I didn't have any interest in playing the online.
I tried. It didn't really let me do it when the game first launched, but I didn't even try after that because Dragon Age is a single-player game and always will be for me.
Yeah,
I think it's important to say that Casey Hudson did actually tweet about this, saying that the live thing, in inverted commas, is basically just designing a game for continued storytelling after the main story. So I guess that's the live team that work on DLCs and stuff going forward.
I think it'll be. Can I just interject there? But I think it'll be similar to how Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you don't know much. You don't play the game, but the way Assassin's Creed Odyssey does it. Now that's technically a live service game, but that is only a single player game. But what they do is they can add missions in when they want.
Yeah.
Into the world. Not as DLC packs. It's more like, oh, we've added this new mission that you can try, or I think that's probably the way they're going to go with it.
I think that's probably a good idea. I'm also of the opinion that Casey Hudson's not being particularly honest about it just means continued storytelling. I wouldn't be shocked to see some kind of in-game monetization with regards customization or something like that, depending on what lines they want to go down. I don't think they'll blur them too much though, because of the backlash we've seen left, right, and center with games.
I was
that
just
do
gonna
that.
say the last thing that BioWare need as well is more
Right.
Yeah, that's
backlash.
So I
have to
think
be really
it's gonna
careful.
it will have something like that. I just don't think it's going to be very prominent, and it may well go very well under the radar until the game's in sort of full flow in terms of the hype and everything that it will get when it's coming out. So I'm happy that they're talking about live storytelling. I just don't think it stops there.
No, I think as well, just going back to obviously the original point of the article about that they're using some of the things from the original project. This kind of ties back to what we were talking about last week, doesn't it, with the Anthem stuff, with the development, because as we know, it seems as if there was a lot of developers working on Dragon Age, which we assume was this cancelled project.
Well, we know that now.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, we do.
And they shifted over to Anthem, so that could be a good thing, because a lot of people in the interview say, don't they, that Dragon Age was onto something really good with the original concept. So hopefully that means that they can sort of regain that for this new project,
Right.
which is obviously what we want, really, isn't it? That's the best outcome.
Yeah, so when I first read the article, I jumped to conclusions a little bit, and I thought that they're revisiting Joplin, which was referenced last week in the Kotaku article that was shut down in favor of focusing on Anthem. And when you read that, you think, what? So they're revisiting a project that was canned initially, and it has negative connotations, but it wasn't canned because it was necessarily bad.
No.
It was just canned because Anthem was so much sort of suffering in its development. So if they had a good concept and if they had really good ideas, why not reignite it and go back to the forge with that? And not to, pun too much on Anthem, but
will they be given the chance to reignite it though?
Probably. I think I made the prediction last week that we would see Dragon Age 4, and regardless of whether that's EA sort of overseeing it or coming to the fore with the publishing rights, then I'm not sure, but I do think Dragon Age 4 will see the light of day in whichever way it does get there.
I hope so. It's a great series.
It is. And I think as well, just on a broader point with Dragon Age 4, I think it's just good to see articles about the game actually existing, because the more time goes on and the more you don't hear about a certain game, the more it makes you worried. And I think the good sign for me is that Dragon Age is being talked about quite a lot now. Now that Anthem's out of the way, now it's been launched, we're getting more and more articles on Dragon Age, which I think is a good sign that maybe things are on track and the game will come out. And I also think that maybe, with the whole Anthem thing where, Dragon Age people had to go across to Anthem, maybe this was the plan all along, that they would eventually go back to Dragon Age. Maybe it was sort of I don't know what you want to call it. I was trying to think we could say, like, they sort of loaned them to go to Anthem, and now they're sort of going back, if that makes sense.
To be honest, yeah, this does seem the case, because they're passing on Anthem to EA in, where is it again?
Oh, which EA was it?
BioWare, sorry. BioWare
Sorry.
in, not, oh
Austin?
my god. Austin, that's it.
Austin,
BioWare in
yeah.
Austin, and Edmonton is actually focusing on Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, because Edmonton's sort of the main, the top
yeah.
dog, according to that article.
Yeah,
the A team.
The arrogant team, maybe. But,
that seems to suit from the article last week.
Hey, I don't mind if they make a great Dragon Age game. They can be as arrogant as they want. So, as far as I'm concerned. But, like you said, that does seem to be maybe the plan now, which I think makes sense, doesn't it? I think that makes complete sense, really. Because hopefully it'll make Anthem a better game, from that point of view. Because it's the team that maybe, knew more about the online stuff, the Old Republic, and Edmonton can focus on what they do best, and that's making great single-player games.
Yeah, Anthem may well become a better game, but no one's going to see it because it's long time dead.
Problem. Yeah.
I think for focusing on Dragon Age, which is way more important right now, is that it's being built on the same code base and tools that was basically built from the ground up for Anthem. So they haven't got to start from scratch again with this, and they don't have to worry about all the unexpected problems that they ran into with Anthem's development, because they're already aware of that. And they understand now, or at least I hope they do, the limitations and the restrictions that they have with that software. So theoretically, they've already made those mistakes in one development. They've learned from them. and so Dragon Age 4 should be a lot smoother going on that basis.
I was going to say, yeah.
But they were meant to have learnt from that with Dragon Age Inquisition.
True.
And then when they went into Anthem, they had similar development issues.
Yeah, but I do think this time it's a bit different. I think because, like you said, they've got the complete structure there with Anthem, and they've said basically they're going off, the structure of it. So I think that means, along with what Perks has said, that we should be expecting this game won't, it's not going to be 6-7 years out. I'd have thought maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years out, something like that. Maybe end of 2021.
My biggest worry, though, would be the lack of direction. I mean, they had a lack of direction for Anthem, which was basically the major problem, wasn't it, with that?
Well, Casey Hudson's back at the helm now.
Well,
that's one.
At least for now.
Yeah, because he left during Anthem.
Yeah. If he stays all the way, I'd be pretty confident the game's going to be good. If there's more problems where he ends up leaving, then that's when you start worrying. But I would say it's a good sign he's there.
I want them to prove me wrong, but I've just started having doubts now with BioWare since Anthem.
I mean, let's be honest. I think we all said it last week. This game is everything now. If they don't get, I know we said Anthem might, but I think this is their real last chance now. This is it. If this Dragon Age is poor, or like Andromeda, then they could be done. That could be it.
It does feel like a boxer on the ropes, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, it's like it's like, but a championship boxer, and he's kind of getting a bit weaker, but he's got one more fight in him. Can he, win the last fight and stuff? That's what it feels like, doesn't it, with BioWare at the minute? Like they're really sort of on the ropes. So it's either you win or you retire, sort of thing, and it feels like that with BioWare. So we'll see.
Retire might be putting it nicely. It's more like put out to pasture, taking out around the back of the shed and having their heads blown off.
Like Old Yeller.
Yeah. We all know that story. But I mean, reading into the article a little bit more, what they've really come together with in terms of a conception, and I'm sure this could change over time, is that it's going to be a smaller game than Inquisition itself, but with that it's allowing them to focus more on, and this is in inverted commas, hugely reactive to your actions, with there being choices and consequences aplenty is one
that's a good sign.
Thing
that's a good sign though, because
which is also something that was said about Anthem in terms of Fort Tarsis, but it could just be
they can't make a game as dead as that.
No.
They can't make a game as dead as Fort Tarsis, surely to God.
I do wonder why. I wonder if they've said that though in response to Andromeda got a lot of criticism, didn't it, for the lack of choice in terms of the dialogue option things like that. I wonder if that's in response to that. And
just with Andromeda, do you remember, Sud and Perks? Sorry, you both played it. When you first initially drop onto a planet, and it's like, do you want to build a science base or a military base? And I thought, oh wow, this is really going to affect, impact the game going forward. And it makes
no difference.
No difference.
No,
you get to talk to a different person. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And we saw that similar with Anthem. I mean, even worse with Anthem, wasn't it? Where it was literally even less style. It was just like basically a choice between nothing or nothing.
So, pretty much, yeah.
So hopefully they fix that, because I think we want to go back to the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 sort of dialogue options, don't we, really?
Yeah, definitely. And Perks, you said so this is going to be a shorter game than Inquisition.
Well, that's what we're led to believe, but if we believe what we read, that is that it's supposed to be shorter than Inquisition, basically to get rid of the fetch quests. And
it's very bloated, Inquisition, so that actually might be a good thing.
Yeah, and when I think about it, bigger isn't always better in games like this. I've said it before, and Anthem really is incredibly vast, and there's nothing in it. It's a vast emptiness. So condensing the overall game and having it more full of life is something that really appeals to me. I would be happy to have much less quests in the game if it meant that all of the boring fetch quests, like killing spiders in a cave or picking up herbs for this potion or that, were replaced by actual sophisticated quests and dialogue that led to developments in characters and storylines and environments and locations. That sounds good to me.
One game they can look at is The Witcher, because that's the sort of thing they should be going for. They should look at The Witcher. Now, it's controversial, isn't it? Because we've heard the whole, Anthem, we can't look at Destiny and see what they're doing, right? But in this case, Dragon Age should be going, let's look at one of the most successful, RPGs of this generation. Or what's that? Oh, yeah, The Witcher. Let's see what they did right. And maybe we can get success if we do that.
They don't even need to look at that. They can just look at their own past games.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. They can look at
they
both,
really can.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Witch was like an evolution, wasn't it, of the Dragon Age, and the Mass Effect form. It like made it even more sort of story related and things like that.
But The
so,
Witcher's massive, isn't it?
yeah,
So if they're going for the shorter style,
no, I don't mean they should go for the Witcher's openness. I just mean they should go for their story elements, the way that they told the story through Geralt and things like that. Because the side missions are great and fantastic in The Witcher, some of the best in any game. But talking about how short and long games are, it's like BioShock 1 is one of the greatest games of all time, and what, you can beat that in 6 hours, Perks? 5 hours?
Less if you're speedrunning.
Less if you're speedrunning. I mean, it's one of the greatest games of all time. So less is sometimes more with things like this. I'm not saying that Dragon Age should be a 6-hour game, obviously, but what was Dragon Age Inquisition? 50 to 100-hour game? I mean, there's no reason why Dragon Age can't be a nice 20 to 30-hour game.
Well, honestly, though, I mean, you say that. You say, what was it in terms of it? It's what you make of it with games like that. You can get through the story by only doing a couple of side quests here or there, leveling up as
very bloated, though, wasn't it? There was a lot of things you did have to do that way. You were kind of, in a way, forced to do some of these sort of like side quests. And so with Inquisition especially, you had to level up and make sure you were the same level so you could do further things. You did kind of have to do a few side missions.
Which is always going to be the case in games like this. If you only do story missions, it's probably going to take you a lot longer to fight through them. So it always does encourage you to check out the rest of the game, which is fine by me. But when you talk about 50 to 100 hours, that's a massive blanket in terms of player base. I mean, some would have gone way above that and beyond. Absolutely.
I think I was below it, to be honest.
I think I got to about 87. Which I say about, that's quite
precise. You did
precise.
pretty much everything though, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 87 hours I got from Inquisition, and I know I could have probably done it in less than that if I was really trying to be time efficient, but I could have also done it in a lot more. So even if I cut those hours in half, if I get that out of Dragon Age 4, then that's still a massive game to me. We're not talking about a one and done single player BioShock or something like that. It's still got a massive scope, even if it's going to be presented to us in a smaller fashion.
Well, I must have done that game closer to 50 hours, I'm pretty sure, because I didn't do a lot of the side quests, and that still felt like a long game to me.
Yeah, I think it could be shortened. I do. I get what you're saying, person. I suppose you kind of are agreeing in a way that you could shorten it by half, and it's still a long game. But I even think 25 to 30 hours though could be enough. There's no reason why it has to be, because a lot of the time, the reason why games take so long is because you walk into, especially with the bloated side mission quests, because you're walking there, aren't you? Especially on Dragon Age, you're having to walk there. That takes 2 minutes.
You got the horse.
You have to walk. Yeah, fair enough. But if they make it a more tight experience, you can actually pack more in, and just have less sort of, times where you're not doing anything. I think I'd prefer that, to be honest.
That's always a filler of your time in games like this, isn't it? I mean, you look at whether it's presented in a Dragon Age type universe or a GTA or Red Dead, there's always an element of traveling to occupy your time to hopefully get you to look at some environmental things and detract you from the tasks at hand to flesh it out even further. Not that those games are small, but it just extends them, like I said before, really above and beyond what's already there for you. I think I might be in the minority with what I'm saying here, because I think generally speaking, RPG fans will probably be worrying a little bit about this, thinking they're going to lose out on the hours that they normally get. But I've got faith. If this is what they're going for, if this is what's actually delivered and it's done in a correct way, I think they'll be just as satisfied in the long term.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, to be honest.
To be honest, I think if they nail the story, most people will be satisfied.
Yeah.
Get the story
that has
right
to
and
be
the
the
pacing.
key focus.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we'll leave that Dragon Age 4 talk there, and we'll move on to topic number 3, which is EA posts cryptic tease for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order ahead of announcement. EA has updated its Star Wars Twitter account with a new Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order banner, as well as posting a cryptic tease for Respawn's Entertainment's upcoming game. The tweet features an animated image depicting what appears to be the severed hilt of a lightsaber laid on a stone surface with engravings, and a caption, "Don't stand out." This likely refers to the fact that Star Wars Fallen Order will take place during the aftermath of episode 3, in between episode 3 and 4, after Order 66.
Yep.
And apparently a first look at Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will be shown at Star Wars Celebration on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Central Time in the US. So whatever that translates to our UK time, I'm not really sure. 7:30 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, not much to go off, but I'm definitely excited for this game, so I can't wait to see the trailer.
Yeah, no, me too. I know a lot of people have been down on Star Wars and EA and Star Wars games and movies and everything associated with it, but I actually think this could potentially be a turning point in terms of the game side of it anyway. I mean, we've had Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, which I don't think any of us actually minded, to be fair. Like, there was a lot of controversy with 2, but the actual game itself's fine. I think it's quite fun. Obviously, the controversy with the microtransactions kind of soured everyone to EA and Star Wars games, but this one's been made by Respawn, who have a really good track record, Of course, they made Titanfall 1, which me and Perks, I think we enjoyed that online. Some people weren't so keen, but Titanfall 2 as well, I thought was a great game. I thought the single-player campaign was one of the best campaigns of this generation, actually. I thought it was really fun. And the online was good again as well. So they've got a good track record, and of course, we all know what they've made recently. Massive success with Apex Legends, and which is a solid, really solid game. Mm-hmm. So I don't have much... I actually have quite a lot of faith in them. I don't have many doubts that this game will be good. And I'd actually say that. Now, if I'm wrong, we'll come back to this and you can criticise me for it, but I'm going to make a bold prediction that I think the game will be really good. Actually, I've got quite a lot of faith in it.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
I got faith as well.
I even have faith with what they're going for. I like the name as well. I think the name is really good, actually. Jedi Fallen Order. It's quite a good name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. For a game.
The only thing that worries me is that you're a Padawan in between episode 3 and 4, and the only thing I don't like is obviously we've seen the film universe, so we know what happens, and we're not really going to impact it that much, are we?
No.
In this game, because we can't.
No.
So that's the only thing I don't like. I don't like things
it's similar to the Force Unleashed games. They were set between 3 and 4, weren't they?
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't really like them. I liked the game to play, but the story of having like Star Killer and stuff, I was like, this is stupid. I
think the story could have done a bit more work, but I've got more faith in Respawn. That Titanfall 2 story was really good, so I've got faith that they can deliver. I imagine it'll be a much better campaign than Battlefront 2's campaign, which I think's a really bad campaign, personally. Quite boring campaign. Yeah, it's just boring. There's just nothing to it. It's kind of boring and nothing really happens. So I've had a lot more faith they'll do a better job. I'd like to get your thoughts on it, Pers, because I know you're a big Respawn fan, aren't you? So.
Absolutely. Like, there's no point me echoing what you've already said, that they're on a hot streak right now. That's for sure. I don't think this is going to go the same way as a Battlefront 2 campaign or anything like that. Let's face it, this is what we've wanted for the longest time. This is a single player only narrative, if you like. This is the adventure we've wanted since Knights of the Old Republic, right? So, top developer, top idea. There seems to be nothing that can go wrong here, unless, there's always a but. I kind of want to flesh out a little bit more the thoughts on where Luke was going before. It's in the middle of a story that we already know the start, the beginning, and end to. So, what are we really going to be doing within there that inspires us? I think it's quite important that with this game, in my opinion anyway, that everything we see is things that we just haven't seen or heard of before. These are all things that are going to have taken place completely beneath the surface. We're not going to know certain characters' stories, where they came from, where they end up, because we won't have seen them in the film series. We don't know who they are. So it's conceivable that we'll see characters that we will assume will die, that will live, and vice versa. And everything within this game can literally just be made up, in all honesty.
Can it, though? Because are they not going to be canon? Because it's Disney. I don't. Yeah, I actually don't know the rule on it. Whether I don't know if any of you used to actually know it. Is there something where Disney say you have to make something meaningful because it is going to be canon? No, I don't. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is here is it doesn't need to be something that we've seen already before.
No, that's true.
So it can absolutely be canon, but it can be made from the ground
Yeah.
up because they
Yeah.
can be stories
Yeah.
that haven't been told,
Yeah,
things that we haven't seen in the films.
that's why I don't like it though, because we're still in the time frame where the overall story we know the end to.
See, I'm okay
So we
with
know
it.
it's not going to impact it at all.
But we
really.
don't properly know about the Jedi, do we? We do, because we know in the canon there's still some Jedi remaining after the Order 66, and
I think
we
Clone
don't-
Wars
yeah.
touches on it. That the
Yeah.
current series that's going on. I think it's Clone Wars.
So what I'm saying by that
animated
is though that there's supposed to be some Jedi still. There kind of can be stories in between that. I think. Now I get what I understand your point of view as well, where it's like, well, what's the point? Because none of it's going to matter. We know the Empire is still going to build the Death Star and things like that. Fine, but I don't think that means that they can't have a good story. They can still do a good story.
Oh no, it definitely can be good.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's more of a nitpick of mine because that's just a personal preference. I would have loved it if it was set in an old Republic sort of era where I don't know anything that happens. And they can introduce characters and it'd be like, wow, this is cool. This is a massive story. Oh, so this happened. Whereas in this one, it's just not going to impact like the Empire and stuff like you mentioned.
Generally speaking, like me and you agree on that. Like we're not big prequel fans, if you like. I know this is set in the middle, but still technically counts as a prequel in terms of the canon, sure. But the fact that it's not just playing through things that we've already seen on screen, because that would be boring. Things that we already know from start to finish what happens. This can have good guys and bad guys that we haven't seen before that don't necessarily have to come to the end or the means that we expect from them in this game. Like just because we know we're not going to impact the Empire or the Jedi Order in particular in this game, the characters within it can still be amazing. The bad guys don't necessarily have to die, and the good guys don't necessarily have to live, or again, the opposite way around. They do have the freedom of that because this is fresh. We haven't seen this before, and that's where I'm a bit more optimistic than I normally would be about something that just falls in the middle of a story we already know.
Yeah. I'm just always annoyed, like, if something falls in the middle of a story, it's like, this character is really powerful, and then you think back to the film, it's like, well, it's kind of ruined that story, because where's this character? Because this character would have beat Vader, or something like that, do you know?
Force Unleashed, but I don't think we'll get that in this game. I mean, this looks, and again, we have very little information about Fallen Order.
Yeah, this is all speculation at the moment, isn't it, really?
Yeah, the concept that we're led to believe from the article and the teaser is that you're a lone Jedi, you're trying to stay undetected and fight back, basically. But you're in that period of time where being undetected and surviving, and there seems to be a lot of secrecy about the character that you're going to play, especially with the lightsaber hilt that, like you said, seems to be cut in half.
Yeah, it just says you're a Padawan, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to have the stupidity of Starkiller or something like that. It should be a lot more personable, which is something that I like.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the comics to draw from as well, because they expanded more on Vader going around during this time period, taking out the remaining Jedi, so I guess they can use stories from that.
That was kind of what The Force Unleashed was about, wasn't it? Vader sort of goes around, he goes to like Kashyyyk trying to seek out the Jedi, and then he finds Starkiller and things like that. But
Baby Starkiller.
Yeah, Baby Starkiller. But I think it seems, doesn't it, with the Padawan stuff, that it's going to be something where they just kind of missed one went under the radar, and one maybe escaped from the Jedi Temple. Yeah,
Master Skywalker. There's too many of them.
He somehow got away.
Yeah. No, that kid's a Force ghost.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's going to be in the game as a Force ghost.
You can imagine sort of the opening scene, can't you? Like going back to that, like going back to the Jedi, temple getting burned down, and he maybe escapes and is injured and vows revenge, and the game starts from there. Maybe,
or she.
I can imagine that, or she,
could be
whatever it is.
Character.
I mean, you might get to even. Who knows? It might even get to choose. You could possibly even get to choose. I don't know.
I'd assume you get to choose. You tend to with most games like this.
I don't know though. With Respawn, they tend to do. I'm not sure.
I was just going to say that. I think it's probably going to be decided for you.
Oh, do you guys reckon? I didn't play Titanfall or anything like that. So.
Well, I'm just because I don't know about you, Piss. I think the game will play very similarly to Titanfall in certain ways. Not in all ways, but I think it'll feel like Apex, and I think it'll feel like Titanfall with the gameplay anyway. I don't think there'll be much difference. I think why would they change it? That formula, the way they get their games feel great. Let's be honest. Titanfall 2 is a great game, feeling game.
I think I know what you're getting at. I just don't think it's going to be so fast paced. At least
No, they'll slow it
in
down.
majority.
Yeah.
Sure, they're going to have
No.
lightsaber duels, which will
Yeah.
flow and feel really fluid, which I'm excited about. But generally speaking, if this game plays with the pace of a Titanfall,
No,
I
it won't be
think
that
that
fast.
would be off.
I just mean the way it even the way it looks and things like that, the way it feels, the way your character moves. I don't think there'll be too much. Yeah, maybe slow down a little bit. I get that, but I think, like you said, with the lightsaber duels, I think they will be frenetic. I think they'll be fast and frenetic, and I think that works. Respawn do that well, the fast gameplay. So I'm actually, yeah, I agree with you. I'm the gameplay might even outshine everything else about the game, possibly. I do actually think that. I think it could be really good in that department.
Has there been a Star Wars game yet that's really nailed the lightsaber battle? I can't really think of one. I can't really remember.
What were the
Force
ones
Unleashed?
in Force Unleashed?
Yeah,
Like,
I can't really remember.
I seem to
them.
remember them being pretty decent. I think they were pretty good. But
I'm honestly not a fan. Like I remember
No.
back, I think
for the time, though, they might have
difficult
been good.
thing is with the lightsaber duels, right? You have this stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you make it so that you can do what they can do within the films, you end up with just manic button bashing and swinging your lightsaber as fast as you can, and it's kind of detracts from what it should actually be. And the flip side of that is you get a For Honor situation where everything has to be timed and very precise, and that's not a lightsaber duel in any kind of other universe. It's just, it would be slow motion. It would be horrendous. So
They need to find a balance somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
they will, but short of quick time events, I don't really see that being a massive positive in the game. I think it will be good, and I'm excited about it, but yeah, I guess I do have that pessimism at the same time.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it, but yeah, just sometimes with the lightsaber battles, it just becomes button mashing, really, doesn't it? Just swing.
Yeah, but I suppose, like you said, we'll wait and see, won't we? It's not long now, so
Do we know if it's going to be first or third person?
we don't
No
know.
idea. I guess we'll find out on Saturday.
I would assume
Yeah.
first person, just based on what they've done before.
Yeah, I
But-
would with it being Respawn. I'm thinking with that universe, so third person would be quite cool too.
Yeah, be interesting to see what they do.
Oh, I
I
definitely
guess they'll
prefer a
stick to what they
third
know.
person, personally.
For a Star Wars game, I think third person would make more sense, but it would also be it'd be interesting to see in first person as well. Like, it'd just be interesting to see the game. I'm just looking forward to seeing it, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
See what it's like.
Looking forward to learning some more about it as well. Anyway, we move on to the last topic of the day, and it's that a millionaire wants to hold a 100-person battle royale event on private island. Inspired by the success of games like PUBG, Fortnite, and Apex Legends, a very rich person is looking to buy an island and bring 100 people to it for a real-life game of battle royale. Contestants will compete with airsoft guns, and shots will be detected by touch-sensitive armor. Under the current plan, competition will take place 12 hours per day over 3 days until one person remains, and the last person standing will take home £100,000. Well, are we going to sign up?
It's a weird one, though, isn't it?
It is
I
weird.
can understand why I can understand why someone's thought this and thought, "Oh, this would be a great idea." In reality, is it going to work? I don't know. A lot of the time, you hear about these ideas and they never seem to go through, do they? There always seems to be some snag where, it'll be some sort of environmental policy or it'll be some political policy where it's like, "Oh, sorry, you actually can't do it." I can just imagine that happening, to be honest.
Well, if they
I
get
think
a private island, this is where it gets a bit blurry. I mean, what laws are on this private
That's
island?
true. No, if it's an actual private island, I suppose, and they own it,
They make
or
their
they're
laws,
hiring
don't
it,
they?
then I suppose they can do it.
I think.
Really?
I don't really know.
I think personally, I think it'd be more. I don't know. It depends where the island is for a start off, doesn't it? It depends. Is it like a Caribbean island? Is it somewhere in
Does
like
it
off
fall
the
under
coast
someone's jurisdiction? Or
Yeah,
something like
and
that?
also there's a lot. I think the problem they would have is environmental, because of the nature of it and things like that, and it being on an. I think environmental would probably be the biggest obstacle they'd have with getting it done. I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
Well, me and Perg spoke off the podcast about this, off air or whatever, and we were just talking. It reminds me of the Condemned film with Steve Austin. I think I mentioned that to you, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
That was a good film as well. If you want some just cheesy action film. It's good to watch. But me and Perks also discussed like how this could easily just turn into some horror film.
Yeah, it could.
They think they're getting dropped in with airsoft guns or whatever, but really, it's just I don't know how to describe it, a mass killing.
Well, if it's in
Winner
a
takes
tropical
all.
island as well, like there'd have to be a lot of health and safety implications. I mean, there could be like poisonous snakes or anything, couldn't there? Or, there could be anything.
Oh man, that's what I'm hoping for. Like, come on, if they're gonna do this, like,
would
go
this
hard
be
or go
live
home.
streamed? Surely it'd be on some sort of streaming.
What, can you imagine if
service,
it was done like near a swamp and there's like crocodiles trying to like, eat people?
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you want that? That's exactly what this needs to be.
But it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like to me that just would never happen in a minute. Like there just would be too many. There'd be too many factors where it'd be like you can't do this or this can't happen. To me, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the fact that it's a private island. I don't know. I don't know what the laws are. So because even though they're on a private island, I guess it comes under some sort of jurisdiction.
The crocodile's jurisdiction.
Well, yeah, and if you cross it, you're dead.
Yeah. So do you reckon we should sign Matty up without him knowing?
Yeah, sign
I'm
him
sure
up.
he'd love it.
He
He's
would.
just there running towards a loot box on the beach, and a crocodile runs out and gets him.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it needs to be. They could do so many things with this, though. They could have all kinds of crap like that.
Yeah.
They can have landmines waiting for people.
Well,
And shit,
Landmines.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like
don't think
Tropic
they could,
Thunder.
but
This.
I think they might get in a little bit of trouble if they start putting actual landmines down.
Well, not if they not if it's a private island they own and they control the laws.
No. Like I said, though, how would that even work? Like, I don't even think that's a thing.
It works like The Condemned.
Yeah.
They strap everyone up with their Twitch feeds and stuff. You can watch it on.
They're going to be
like I said,
ex-convicts.
Yeah. Twitch or Mixer.
You see this all the time,
whatever
don't you?
the
Do you
hell.
remember? Pooch, you'll remember Dead Rising 2, was it? Where they did live stream like the zombie apocalypse and stuff, and have people getting it. It's like it reminds me of that. It's like it just doesn't happen in real life. These things never take off. Now maybe this one will, but we've seen this before where people want to organise sort of like killing games and stuff. It never happens. And I know this is like more of a sort of paintball-esque type thing, isn't it? With like airsoft guns or whatever.
Disappointingly.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. Maybe it will. I'm skeptical.
Depends which
I'm
millionaires
skeptical.
behind it.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're anonymous and unnamed, so no one really knows.
I don't know about you three. I am skeptical though.
Oh yeah, I'm extremely skeptical.
I don't know if it'll ever take off. I don't know.
Look, it's a fanciful idea that will
it's-
probably never happen.
No.
So,
There's so many hurdles they have
Sure.
to go over to get it to happen.
but
I
you
just-
can't tell me you wouldn't be interested. You wouldn't be sat there with your popcorn watching your Twitch stream with 100 guys and girls being dropped onto a random island with crocodiles, landmines, loot boxes, and shit like that. This
You're
is
just
going
for
down.
the killing.
That's the appeal with stuff
Well, you'd
like this.
sit there with your popcorn watching people get blown up.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Yeah.
it'd be one of them things, I reckon, when you first start watching, you go, oh, this is a really cool idea, and then you think, and then someone gets blown up by a llama, and you think, oh, actually, this is real. This isn't like a film.
Yeah,
Someone's
we're
actually
just
been-
watching people getting
Yeah,
murdered.
I don't know. I think I'd start feeling a little bit weird.
Guy's there chopping
that
up a
point.
tree with his axe and turn around and just behead someone.
Yeah, it's it's a strange story, and I don't know. These ideas always seem to pop up now and again, don't they? Off of pop culture things. It's really weird.
I mean, if
The
they're
pop
determined and
culture.
they have enough money, they could make it happen.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they'd have enough participants. I don't
Oh,
think that
people definitely
participation
would
would be a
sign
problem.
up.
People would do it. I think
Personally.
people would do. Like, let's be honest. People would do it if it was real. There would definitely be more than 100 people that would do it if there was a chance of actually dying, as well.
You can sign me up. No,
Yeah, we'll
doubt.
sign you up.
You want to give me an airsoft gun and a bunch of crap, then I'm not interested. But give me all those dangers and the reality. I'm
You
down.
can't even run, so you're a sitting duck.
It's all good. I can
Be
trick
stealth, man.
people. I control them. I can pretend to be dead on the floor. They come and try and loot me, and I chop their legs off. Like, I've got this.
You could be Sniperks. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
You would.
Hiding in your trees.
Well, you did mention though, Perks, in your fair, like, imagine the people who take paintballing very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
They would be up for this.
Of course they would. Especially because what's the
With money as
£100,000 cash prize if
Yeah.
you win?
Yeah, I'm sure at some point in your life you've probably seen the airsoft pros on YouTube. They are insane. They have kill streaks that are just through the roof. So
Do them people not
it would
eventually
be
just get
dominated
recruited to
by
like
that.
spec ops and stuff like that because they're that good? Like you'd imagine eventually they'd probably
Maybe.
just get recruited to like the army at a high level, wouldn't you? They're that
A lot
good.
of them and I guess this doesn't
Probably
apply to them
ex-army
all,
people,
but
a lot of them
I
as
was
well.
going to say a lot of the
Yeah.
guys that I've seen in the past are actually ex-military, special
Makes sense.
forces, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of staying in the loop, I guess, doing
Yeah.
what they're good at. So give them the opportunity to do it and actually kill people again. I'm sure they'd love to.
Yeah, and the idea, it just reminds me of like the Hunger Games. It's like the Hunger Games idea, isn't it? Like with this sort of private island. I know that it wasn't on a private island, but it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? Where it's just like, oh, these random people get dropped, and then it's kind of
I've
weird.
never seen Hunger Games.
Well, Hunger Games is
Yeah.
basically that idea, isn't it? Of
Something
there's
to do with
one place,
districts, isn't it, or
You have to
something?
survive.
Just it's the Condemned, but less.
Not as good.
Yeah, a bit more family orientated.
Well, a little bit. I mean, it's still quite violent. It's not.
I said a bit. Like it's not. I'm not saying
It's not an
PG,
18. It's a 15
but
rather than an 18.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
Which one's better, Condemned or Hunger Games?
Condemned.
I think I don't know. I think most people, most normal.
I knew
people
you were
would
gonna say
probably
Condemned.
I think most like normal people would probably say Hunger Games. I think, but
Yeah, you're probably in the minority.
you
there,
know,
Kirk.
I don't know.
I don't even care.
You know, I've never seen
Like-
Condemned, but I've seen that its reviews are
You
kind
need
of
to
middling,
watch-
aren't they?
You need to watch
Condemned
Condemned.
reviews aren't bad.
Are they pretty decent? Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
okay. It's not as good a story as the
No.
Hunger Games and crap like that, but in terms
More
of
action-packed.
just sit down entertainment.
Yeah,
all day long.
It got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a
Wow.
23% on Metacritic. So
Yeah, it's definitely a great film. There.
So
Vinnie
you're telling
Jones
me,
is in
you're telling me it's
23%
better
on
than Dread
Metacritic.
3D, which means
Well,
that,
it is
that
better.
has to be some
Yeah, but
film.
anything. But Dread 3D is
Is
the worst
better.
film ever
Yeah,
in the history
Dread
of
So-
anything.
3D
So
is dog
we've already
shit.
discussed this. Dread 3D is the worst film
Best
I have
film
ever
I've ever
watched at the
seen.
cinema. And to be honest, Luke, we should have made a stand and walked out.
I
It was
know.
that
I
bad.
don't know why we didn't.
We should have done.
The other two clowns
Because
enjoyed
you
it.
enjoyed it too much.
That scene where the woman from whatever her name is, Lena Headey, is it, from Game of Thrones, like falls in slow motion or whatever she does.
Isn't
whole
she taking a
film's in
bath
slow
at one
motion.
point in slow
Yeah,
motion
it's
as
like-
well?
it's-
It's like, what is this crap?
And she's a good actress. I can't believe she'd be so like desperate that
The
she'd
guy
have
who
been in that
played
film.
Dredd's a good actor as well.
Ugh.
He's in Lord
Yeah,
of the Rings.
I
Can't
don't know.
remember his name.
That was such a bad
Is it
film.
Kurt something? I can't remember.
Yeah, but terrible film.
Terrible film.
Should be
Good
forgotten.
cast, good film, just like The Condemned.
Condemned's good. Dread 3D's not. Anyway, we'll leave it there. That's our thoughts on the topics we covered today and the Condemned film. But before we go, remember to subscribe for more gaming content each week. Give our video a like and comment below with your opinions on the topics that we've covered, and that will all help the channel to grow. Anyway, you can follow Checkpoint Reach Podcast on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CheckReachPod. And you can also follow us guys on social media. Where can people find you, Sud?
You can find me on Twitter at David10spud.
Lovely stuff. How about you, Perks?
I'm at JG Perks.
Nice. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Leld, LEL3Ds, add a 9 on the end for Instagram. All our social medias, including Checkpoint Reach Podcast, the links will be in the description below. Anyway, thanks for joining me as ever, guys. Have a good week,
Thank you.
and we'll chat again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Sounds good. Bye.